read a question and it was really good and I should have written it down.
Welcome to this bonus day of the 5-day Inside Out Challenge. Okay, now I've got to tell you something. I've got to tell you how impressed I am that you guys are here. This is dedication for 11 o'clock on a Saturday, 11 o'clock Central Time on a Saturday, for you to jump on, join us for another incredible session. Today's speaker, it's something that we've not really touched on, at least to this depth before. You are going to love it. You're going to love her. We're so excited that you're here. Clearly, you guys are the overachievers. Clearly. Let me see in the comments, how many people like freebies and bonuses? Are you big fans of that? I love them. I'm a little bit frugal, I guess Melissa would say. I love freebie and bonuses. Drop a yes if you're excited that we're here Saturday. It's called the 5-day challenge, but today's the 6th day. We'll also tell you a little bit later. I do want to give you a heads up that Melissa will be going live sometime tomorrow, but the only way that you're going to know when that is if you're on the text notification. So make sure you text INSIDE to 936-282-5596. If you're already registered, you don't have to do it again, but we will send you a little bit of heads up when she's going to go live tomorrow. So there will be a special live with Melissa tomorrow, and then Monday we will have our last formal day. Monday it'll be 11 a.m. Central Time. You do not want to miss it. Melissa will kind of be recapping the week, speaking to you guys. It's going to be a very, very special time. So I am so excited for so many people saying they love bonuses, because that's what we're here for today, tomorrow, and Monday. Hey, if you did your heart work yesterday, just drop a yes in the chat. Let us see, yes, you did. How many? So yesterday, the heart work was go to social media, find 3 people that they don't make you feel better about yourself. They don't encourage you. Maybe they make you feel down or look down on yourself, and remove those people that you're following on social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be a celebrity. It could be an old high school or college friend. And I believe everybody that I saw, we were very clear on going, no names, please. We didn't want to drop any names. Well, lots and lots of yeses. I can tell you we've got several comments and several emails of people saying that felt so good. I know that they make me feel that way. I know they make me feel, kind of down on myself, and just to let go. It was just incredible. So I also want to say we do still have some prizes. We still have a few Amazon gift cards to give away. And then the Apple Watch giveaway will be on Monday. So you're going to have to be here on Monday to check out the Apple Watch giveaway. So we're very excited about that as well too. I do want to tell you, we'll touch base a little bit more on this at the end of our time together. I have got banners all over the place. We do want to say how excited we are of how many of you have taken advantage of the Burn Your Boats founding member community. So I'm sure most of you have heard. I've dropped a link there. I'll also go and drop a link in the Facebook group as well. But you guys, we are starting the Burn Your Boat community inside Melissa's app. She has an app on the Apple Store and Google Play and Android and all that kind of good stuff. The only way you can get to it at this point is through us. You have to be invited. So this is a founding membership that is open only until midnight on Monday night. We've had the response has been overwhelming. We're just so excited about that. Be sure to go check out all the details. You love Melissa's stretch marks articles. There's going to be an exclusive one for the Burn Your Boats community. There's going to be weekly podcasts. There's going to be monthly video series where Melissa speaks, or guest speakers, or Q&A, those type things, as well as the amazing community that is in the app. We're trying to make it where we can all live together. We can be in there together. And we love the fact that you guys are already in the app. Those of you that are already joined the Burn Your Boats community and saying you love it. It's better than social media. The functionality is amazing. So go check that out. I'm going to stop talking now because we've got 2 much more important people that are here this morning that have a lot to talk to you about. Hey, Melissa, are you muted?
Dadgummit! I do that every single day. Hi everybody. Good morning. I hope that you are relaxed this morning. You're just like watching this in your pajamas. I know I put on a lot less makeup, did a lot less with my hair, and I have on comfy clothes this morning. And I also want to tell you, go back to David really quickly. Go back to Dave, like Dave, add yourself in, because right behind David is our backyard. And we have kids home today, and they had friends spend the night. So I don't know. I don't know if little faces will appear at that window. I don't know if they'll make dirty signs and put them up. Okay, never mind. I said keep your blinds open so that they don't jump in the clothes in the pool with their clothes on. So David's having to babysit at the same time. No, they're pretty good, but they might want to terrorize us. Well, happy Saturday morning, everybody. I'm really glad you're here. Let's talk for a moment, shall we? Let's talk to Stephanie Hinton. I know you're on here. You're watching. Oh, you're watching because I saw your comment and I'm going to address it. So Stephanie Hinton said, I did my heart work, but what I did was I found a couple of people that don't make me feel good about myself. And I told them exactly why they don't. And then I hit delete. Okay, Stephanie? That was not part of the heart work. You being sassy was not part of the heart work. I'm not saying I don't approve of it. I'm not saying I don't think it's I don't think you're a pistol. I think you are a pistol. And in the South, that's a good thing. And I think you're cute. But you can't be doing that, okay? Tina Giles, she did the heart work. And I thank you so much, Tina, for letting us know. Rhonda Perry wrote, I did the heart work, and to be perfectly honest, I should have done more. Like when I got the feeling of what it felt like, I should have done a lot more. And then Hope Gable said, I got rid of 10 of them. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, because maybe you missed yesterday, or you're like, wait, what did I miss? Did I miss this on the replay? What I asked you to do was to go in and find some social media. It doesn't just have to be social media influencers, although that is a very big deal. It could be your old college roommate. It could be your brother-in-law's wife. I mean, your sister-in-law. It could be your mother-in-law. I don't know, but who is it that you're following on social media that makes you feel less than? And the reason that I use social media influencers as an example is because our culture tells us that you are famous and you have all of these followers and that you matter more and that you are in the upper echelon of people. You're an influencer if you have the perfect body and the perfect house and you look just so. And so a lot of times we follow people because, my God, I want her butt, or my God, I want her life, or my gosh, I want that house, or look how her husband treats her, or look at the Mercedes he just pulled up in the parking lot for her. And it makes us feel less. And I don't know that that's necessarily their intention. I think their intention is not to make you feel less, but to make them look more. And so sometimes it's just really healthy to clean house. And so I went yesterday. There's a girl that I've been following. She don't mean a lick of harm. She does not mean a lick of harm. If I told you who it was, half of you would know her and half of you wouldn't. And you would go, really? Really? You ditched her? She doesn't mean any harm. She doesn't. But it's how she makes me feel. I feel like I can't get my parenting together. I feel like I can't get my life together. I feel like every single day isn't storybook like hers. Hers is storybook and mine isn't. And sometimes there's certain days that wears on me. And so I just deleted that. I didn't do it with any hate in my heart. It's just going to be nice not to have to compare myself. Sometimes you just find yourself slipping into that, and we don't want to do that. So that was our heart work yesterday. We got so many emails yesterday after Jen Stevens was here, one of which I want to address. One email said, I want to be a part of the Burn Your Boats community so bad. That is my intention. But my question is this becoming a completely intermittent fasting now community? Lord, no. What? Absolutely not. Never in a million years. The truth of the matter is we will start the Burn Your Boats community and I'm going to pick a name, Rosie Flat. may decide that she really wants to do walking. Like she's going to eat whatever she wants. She's going to do maybe intuitive eating, but her thing is walking. Yay, Rosie Flatt for making that decision. Like, good on her, right? But Melanie Bailey, on the other hand, may be like, you know what? This is really what's working for me. I'm dealing with my internal emotions. I'm dealing with my head and my heart. Intermittent fasting isn't for me, but blank is for me. Yay. What we are going to be as a community of Burn Your Boats is simply people on a mission. The same mission, the same boat, but different ways. Okay? So when Cortez took the island, do you think every man in there was from the same family, made the same choices, had the same number of kids, was married to the same woman? No. Bunch of different people, but on the same mission, going the same way. And that's what Burn Your Boats community is. And when I get on here this morning, and I was sitting here a little bit early before we took off and the countdown was coming on, and people were saying, good morning, new friends. Good morning, new community. Good morning to you in Philadelphia. I just met you this week and I already love you. Hey from in Ohio. I missed seeing you yesterday. Where were you? Welcome to community. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when people decide not to go it alone. We're so happy that we have the Melissa Radke app, because now this doesn't have to happen on a Facebook Live. You are now officially, when you join the Burn Your Boats community, you're in, baby. You are in community. You can find people in your area. You can meet up for Starbucks once a week, once a month if you want to. That is community. A bunch of different people, but on the same mission, in the same boat, going the same way. Not going that way, but going this way. And that's really what that's about. So here's the deal. You don't think I wanted to sleep in this morning? And actually, I did sleep in this morning. What am I talking about? You didn't think I wanted to sleep in even more this morning? But we had several people reach out to us. And I am not just talking about viewers like yourself. I'm talking about leaders who said, you got to look up this woman. You've got to look up Martha A.M. I know I'm saying it right because I asked her how to say it. And she said it's like Tim, but with a Y. Okay? Her name is Martha A.M. And several people said, just listen to what she has to say. It might not be something you've ever heard before, but it might. Remember what we talked about on one of the days? This tapping when we feel this little nudge, when we feel our spirit inside of us going, pay attention to this. Pay attention to this one. I'm glad that Martha is here today because she's very laid back. She's very calming, but she's going to talk to us about a different kind of approach to some therapy that deals with the inside out, but may be a little bit unfamiliar to all of us. Get your pens ready. Get your journals ready. Martha will be here. She'll speak to us for about 30 minutes. Then David and I will close down, and then she will be in the backstage area for our VIPs as well, for our VIPs to ask her any specific questions. You are going to love her information, her wisdom, and her way to relay it, but you're going to also love her calming manner. It's going to feel really good today after a very, very busy week that a lot of us have had. So let's welcome Martha A.M. to the program. Martha, good morning.
Morning. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. I'm so glad you're here, Martha, as we get started, because I don't have my sheet in front of me like a professional, because I am not. Martha, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of background on you and how you got brought into the business that you are as a lifestyle and a wellness coach?
Sure. So I had been a binge eater for nearly 35 years. And while I was on that journey, I tried everything I possibly could to stop. And I always knew one thing. I was going to figure this out or I was going to die trying. And part of my trajectory was to become a life coach because I wanted to help people. When I finally did find my way out, I wanted to help as many people as I could find their way out too. And I started a podcast. It was called the Done Binging Podcast. And as I was hosting the podcast, I had listeners write into me over and over and over again. There's something about what you keep talking about. You keep using this word self-regard. And you've got to check out this guy. His name is Richard Schwartz. There's something about you and self-regard and him and self-leadership. And so it took about 4 or 5 requests before I finally took it seriously. I had checked out the website, then I got busy. I checked it out and I got busy. And finally, when I started to read his material, I learned that he developed this approach through listening to clients with eating disorders. And that's what totally blew my mind. Because my experience of reaching out for help was that I met any number of beautiful, well-intentioned people, but I never really got the sense that anyone really got me, right? Nobody really got this sense of being taken over by something that genuinely seemed to be on my control, that would force me to eat a whole cake plus a carton of ice cream, plus icing, right? Nobody could really understand that I was functioning. I was well educated. If you were to look at my life at the outside, everything looked like it was fine. So it made sense to nobody in my life. And they would say things that seemed really loving, like, listen, you don't need the whole cake. How about a piece? You don't need the whole pizza. How about a piece? You don't need the whole pie. How about a piece? And in there talking to me, despite the loving intention, what I heaped on myself more and more was shame. And even as I worked with professionals, I know nobody intended this. I got the same feeling like, okay, I've taught you all the strategies. Can't you just stop now? Because now at this point, you're embarrassing me and I'm the professional. Like, would you just stop binging? And so when I heard about an approach developed by listening to people with eating disorders, I just read everything I could. And I learned about how Richard Schwartz had been a family therapist. By the way, I'm not a therapist. I'm a coach and only a coach. But this is an approach, and the training is available to coaches, yoga teachers, priests, mental health practitioners, everybody alike. So as I started to read, I learned that he had been a family therapist. And what that meant was in his office, he literally had families with him. And when somebody was taking on a behavior in the family that looked harmful, like binge eating, obviously there doesn't seem to be anything productive about the behavior, what he discovered was there was always something up with the leadership in the family, the parents, for any number of human reasons. Somebody had died, there had been a divorce, there was a recent immigration, people were desperately lonely, somebody had gambled away all the family's money. For some reason, the parents had lost the leadership. And someone, and maybe more than one person in the family, was reacting with behavior like binge eating or something else. Every time he could reinstate the leadership with the parents, the behavior almost always resolved on its own. Then he was working one-on-one with individuals who had eating disorders. And there was one client who completely transformed his practice. And her name was Roxanne. And in one session, she revealed that she had been abused when she was a child, and she showed him her arms and she had cuts on them. And he was so appalled by the cuts, he badgered the part of her that cut her for 2 hours and said, "You, on my watch, this is never going to happen again. Like, do not ever touch her again. This looks bad on me. You're hurting her. Can't you see what you're doing?" And then he pressured his client, Roxanne, to also kind of badger the part to never do this again. And the part was disgusted, but agreed. The next time she came for an appointment the following week, there was a gash all the way down the front of her face. He completely fell apart. And all the fight in him just vanished. And he said, "This is a dangerous game. You win. I can't beat you." And what blew his mind was the part said, "I'm not trying to win. I'm not trying to play a game. I'm not trying to beat you." And this kind of took the wind out of him, and he melted into a full curiosity and asked, "Then how come you keep cutting her?" At which point the part revealed, because when she was young and being abused, I had to take her out of her body. And I had to control her rage so that she kept it inside, because any rage would have just gotten her into more trouble. The idea that a part that objectively looks harmful on the outside could actually have the intention of helping us on the inside completely changed the game for him. Because everything he had learned and most of the practice at the time was like, we're going to educate the parts, we're going to challenge the parts, we're going to drug the parts, we're going to badger the parts, whatever we can do, we've got to get them to stop because they're obviously wrong. So this was an entirely new perspective. And this idea of parts, we all have this. This is not a pathology. You even talked about this at the beginning of the call, right? Just before we started to come on. You know, a part of me wanted to sleep in longer than I did. I bet, and I know there's a part of you that wanted to show up on this call because you're here. Part of me maybe wanted to have a longer coffee with David. A part of me wanted to this. We all think in parts all the time. It's not a pathology. But the idea that we could identify them, right, and befriend them to understand what they actually want for us is what completely changed his practice. And then learning from him, I began to apply that to my work. Because I just kept talking about self-regard because I knew I had shamed myself for 35 years and it never stopped my binging. I shamed myself for being 225 pounds, never worked. And I shamed myself for eating so much until I was sick, it never worked. I shamed myself for all of the things I tried. I heard that if you eat on blue plates, you'll lose your appetite. I put a cake on a blue plate, I ate the whole cake, didn't work. I tried throwing the cake in the kitty litter, which wasn't clean. Didn't work. I tried a diet where you pour water in red glasses and you put the glasses by the window for 4 hours. You drink the energy and then you won't binge. I totally didn't. I literally tried everything from crazy to everything that was scientifically based. I tried lap band surgery, cognitive behavioral therapy, personal trainers, books, programs like meditation, acupuncture, chiropractic treatment, you name it. And so what I learned on my journey was shame didn't help me, although it always appeared to be necessary. And all shame did was follow me down the scale, because when I was down to 135, it was like, well, now I'm so ashamed that I spent so many years at 225. Right? So shame just followed me everywhere. And the idea that self-regard was essential to stopping, and it doesn't just have to be binge eating, it could be overeating, anything. That idea I knew in my heart, but I couldn't articulate why I was so wedded to it until I read Dick's work, and that's what changed my practice. So that's a bit of a story behind me, why I became a coach, and how I came to IFS. That's the name of his approach, and it's short for Internal Family Systems. And now the name makes sense because as a family therapist, he had an external family literally in his office. And what he realized was that individuals have an internal family too, a leader and parts. And if the internal leader can be reestablished, then the parts and their binging resolve on their own.
Okay, so I have a million questions, and I'm feeling myself getting kind of emotional even talking about it. So sorry, I'm wiping my tears because my Kleenex are all the way across the room and I can't get them. When you say a leader within the family, I'm so sorry. This is such a silly question. He's doing work here with a family, like a father, a mother, and 3 kids, let's say. And you're talking about a leader within the family. Are you still talking about that? Or now are we talking about ourselves and how ourselves are broken into parts and how there's a leader part of us? And is that what you mean? Explain that to me.
First of all, there's no such thing as silly questions. The other thing is when I begin to teach this approach, with which I invite people to take or toss. Like one of the reasons I think this journey is so protracted is because we look outside for so many answers and then we feel we have to take them in. So my key invitation is toss all of this if it doesn't resonate. But for most people who have been on this journey for a very long time, as soon as I start to talk like this, they say, you are sounding super weird. But keep talking because something you're saying is reaching me in a place I've never reached before, and tears are very common. So the connection between the family in his office and the family inside is just that he had been working as a family therapist and witnessed the systemic dynamics in the family, right? Something's off with mom and dad. So now kids are like left in charge to like fend for themselves. Like suddenly they're scared. Somebody's bullying them at work. There's nobody to soothe them. So they go for food or cigarettes or whatever. They're doing their best to address something inside of them without a leader. No judgment of the parents. They're just human. Okay, so he took this idea of dynamics within families and he discovered the same dynamics, parts of a family and leadership exist inside here. So let's say I'm still binging. So I have a part of me that binges. Okay, let's say I feel like such a key urge to binge right now. It's totally taking me over. And this is how binge eaters will describe the experience. It's like something completely takes me over. But if I can identify it and just notice, oh my goodness, there's a part of me that totally wants to binge, totally taking me over right now. I see it, right? Let me see if I can have any amount of curiosity toward it. The moment I do, the part begins to give me space so that I can emerge, me, Martha, the leader in my system. It doesn't want to take me over. The only reason it's making me eat a whole cake is because there's nobody else that's going to make me lie down. There's nobody else who's going to make me ask for help. There's nobody else who's going to tell my boss, that's it. You give me priorities or we're done, right? Nobody else forces me to stop everything except this part. But if it could trust that I could lead and I could address the help I need, the rest I need, the self-care I need, a more respectful relationship with my boss, if it could trust me, it wouldn't feel like it needed to binge anymore. And that's what Dick discovered in his work. These parts hated their jobs. Our binging parts and our overeating parts, they don't want to binge and overeat. But there's nobody else. And here's the other thing. As they're binging, smoking, overeating, overdrinking, what have you, the rest of us, and everybody on this call, I'm sure can relate to this, the rest of our system hates their guts.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine doing this, a job that nobody else is willing to do, that nobody else is able to do. You do it and you invoke the hatred of the rest of the system, but you keep doing it because you're committed to protecting the person. It's a terrible job.
Right.
And if some of these parts have been doing it for decades, they're exhausted. So the counterintuitive thing is it makes so much sense to go in with a logical lens. Okay, please stop binging. Please stop overeating. For goodness sake, here's a reasonable diet. It's not very extreme. Here's a very gentle workout plan. Why don't you try this? You can totally manage your mind. All these things, right? We try to approach from an educational perspective. And the part is like, listen, if you can address what I'm scared of, I totally don't want this job. It's just nobody else is doing that work here.
So how do we do that? Because if I, so the part of me that, okay, I'll just give you an example. Last night we got home and we had a lovely evening with my parents and a lot of family had come over and we got home and one of my, I had asked earlier in the week that one of our heart work assignments was to get a food that triggers us and to set it out and to stare at it and to look at it and to know that it's present and it's in the room. And my kids ratted me out and said, they're gone. There was chocolate here and now it's gone. Mom, what did you do with it? Well, it was David who looked at me. The kids can say it all day long. And I feel shame in front of the kids because I don't want my kids growing up with this issue, right? But it was David who looked at me and said, did you eat that? Did you do that? And I instantly just felt myself, I wanted to go inside. And he said, why? Why did you do it? And Martha, I couldn't even express why. Because you feel taken over. You don't even, it doesn't even make sense to you. So all of our speakers this week have said how important it is to ask why. But I have this leader, this family member inside of me that their job is to just binge, is to just take over. And the others hate this family member, but I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to answer to it.
So the first thing you do is see, can you have any compassion toward the part of you that's feeling the shame?
Can I have any compassion towards the part of me that's feeling shame?
Yeah, like, does it make sense to you on a human level that a part of you felt shame? We're not saying the shame is right and you ought to feel shame. We're asking the question, can you have compassion for your own humanity? A part of you felt shame when the chocolate was gone, right? And you were asked a question about it. Can you have compassion for that part?
I can, but I can have compassion. The answer to your question is yes, of course.
Okay.
The latter part of that would be, but at what point do I grow the heck up and quit?
Okay. That's
petting
enough.
myself?
That's the part. That's a grow the fuck up part. Okay. So first of all, does the shame make sense to you? That you have a part that feels shame? Sorry, does the shame make sense? Okay. And does it make sense to you that you have a part that wants you to grow the fuck up? Okay, so then let both parts know you get it. Of course you have a part of yourself that felt shame about that because you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be doing that in front of your kids. You don't want to be having this kind of a conversation with your husband. Of course, let that part know and see can it pick up your genuine kind-heartedness toward it.
Okay. And then what? I mean, people are saying our chat is saying, I feel this, yet some people are saying this is over my head. I need to rewatch this because this is over my head. And I do understand those of you who are chatting and saying, this is a new approach. It is a new approach for sure. And it's and for those of somebody just asked, it's IFS, which stands for Internal Family Systems. If you want to look that up, you can. It is a new approach. I'm not entirely sure. I think I told you this yesterday on our Zoom call, Martha, or maybe I didn't, but I should have. Talk to me like I'm a child, like explain this to me, in the most layman terms possible, because this is new. And I asked myself last night as I was going to bed, why did I do that? I know that I did it the moment that I ate that I shouldn't have eaten. It was a moment of complete anxiousness. I was feeling very anxious. I had a lot to do, and I don't deal well under pressure necessarily. And I had a lot to do. And so I ate it because I ate it without thinking about it. It literally went in and went down without me even tasting it.
Got it. Yeah.
There was no enjoyment whatsoever. It just was to calm the nerves. And I know that's right, dopamine. Okay. Yeah. But talk to me in layman's terms about how we deal with that.
Okay, so let's back up again and let's think of parts. Remember, parts aren't pathology. So you've just identified several parts, which just busts you for being human. That's it. So you had a part that felt shame. You had a part that wants you to grow the fuck up. You are in a part right now that's hosting, which makes total sense because you're hosting a Facebook Live. Okay, you also identified an anxious part that felt anxious, and then you had an eating part. Okay, so those are 5 parts. That's like, imagine a family, right? With these 5 parts and a leader. Okay, so the way we do the work is we identify each part, which we just did. And then we do what Dick did with Roxanne's part. We show as much compassion and curiosity as we possibly can, and we see if the part can pick it up. So this is where it's helpful to drop the philosophy and trying to think about how this works and see if we can just do some of the work, right? And this is for you to decide if this feels right for you, because this work is vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to feel safe. So if it doesn't feel safe, then we can talk about how it works kind of from a philosophical perspective, but sometimes dropping into the work can be really helpful. But so let's just step back and think of it this way. Let's say this was me. I have a part that feels shame. Can I have any compassion for this part? I can. I want to see, can this part that feels ashamed pick up my compassion? I'm not just saying I have compassion. I genuinely have compassion. If it can, it will relax a little bit. Okay, can I address the part of me that is, of course, in charge right now because I'm hosting a Facebook Live? Will it give me a little bit of space so that I can lean a little bit out of my leader-host mode and just experience this dynamic? Okay, would it be willing to give me a little space? I totally get why it's here. Of course it would be here. Can it pick up my understanding? Okay. The part that wants you to grow the fuck up. Okay, let's say this is me again. I have a part that wants me to grow the fuck up. Can I understand? Of course it wants me to grow up. because it wants me to stop doing this. I don't want to have these conversations with my husband. I don't want my kids to be, picking up an eating behavior for me that I don't want them to. Okay, I totally get it. Can this part that wants me to grow up feel my genuine understanding of why it talks to me like that? If it can, it usually calms down. Can I have compassion for the part of me that was anxious and genuinely show it to that part? Okay, can that part pick it up from me? If it can, it will soften. Notice what we're doing, Melissa. We are entering into a relationship with all of these parts, and I am, as the leader, I'm trying to earn their trust, right? I totally get why you did what you did. I totally get why you were anxious. It makes sense to me. Okay, think of imagine an argument between two people. When they're well, I made this because you were so fucking anxious, and well, I wish you would just grow the fuck up, and then well, now I feel totally shamed, right? We're all just fighting. If there isn't a leader that steps in that everybody can trust, the fight's just going to go on. And this is one of the reasons why diet binge, or diet overeat, the cycle goes on and on and on, is because nobody comes in and stops the fight.
Mm.
And the way to stop the fight is with love.
Is with what?
Love.
Love.
It's not with just education. Of course, it's helpful to be educated. These foods are going to rot your body. That's good to know. You don't brush your teeth after a binge, you're going to rot your teeth. That's really good to know. Carrying several 100 pounds of excess weight is going to have health implications. All of this is really good to know. But notice that's a part. It's not a leader that is just governed by a sense of love, curiosity, compassion, kind-hearted openness. And when we can foster these relationships and these parts trust us, they start to soften from their very entrenched positions and let us lead. Because the qualities of self-energy are courage, confidence, calm, creativity, curiosity, connectedness, compassion, and curiosity. There's 8. They're called the 8 C's of self-energy. And you can imagine those 8 together, that is a blockbuster constellation of qualities. From this place, we can make decisions. I'm anxious, right? Of course I'm anxious. I'm going to ask my anxious part to give me space because I'm going to deal with whatever needs to be done for this challenge. Maybe it's going to get done. Maybe it's not going to get done, but I'm not going to let a vulnerable, anxious part feel like it has to deal with this. I'm going to ask it to give me space. I can handle this. From courage, calm, right, confidence, and clarity, I can decide, listen, this is going to happen. We don't have time for this. It's going to be okay. So that's what's kind of at the heart of the work.
This sounds like the Inside Out movie.
Okay, well, this is what I want to tell you. Guess who was the consultant on the Inside Out movie?
Are you serious, Richard Schwartz? No, you're lying right now. Are you serious?
I'm serious.
So, because somebody else said that too, and I was thinking the same thing. So, inside this brain is love, it's joy, there's anger, there's all of these different parts that they work together and live together in the same place. They look like a family unit, but there has to be patience with each other and forgiveness with each other.
And usually, imagine a living room full of kids. It's okay, guys, there has to be patience between you guys and love and all of that. You leave them to themselves and you might not like what you come back to. They need a leader to come in and sometimes negotiate truces. You can't punch your sister in the face. I'm sorry, I know you love it, but you can't do that, right? And here's why. So they need someone to come in and help to broker those deals. And that's where the self comes in. That's where the leader comes in.
Talk to somebody who, it was Heather Lewis. She just wrote a question and it was really good and I should have written it down. Shoot, I'm so sorry, Heather. You had a great question. She said something about I have so much anger or I can't even. Oh, I know what she said. She said, I can't get past my past. How do you get past your past to deal with these things?
Okay, this is such an important question. Because what Dick learned when he worked with Roxanne, the woman who was cutting herself, was what he learned was the only way that part was going to stop cutting. Notice the part was living in the past of when she was being hurt. The only way that part would stop doing this is if we could invite the part out of the past.
Oh God, how do you do that? Oh Lord.
I wasn't even going to bring this up on this call. But the way you do that is the second phase of IFS. The first phase is what we just talked about. It's called befriending protectors.
Okay.
All of these parts we met of yours, Melissa, the eating part, the anxious part, the shame part, the host part, the grow the fuck up part, they're all trying to protect you in some way. No matter how their behavior looks on the outside, the eating part was trying to assuage the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the shame part is trying to evolve the relationship with food, even though it uses harsh words, evolve the relationship with food so that it heals. Okay, so that first part, befriending the protectors and earning their trust, because if we are very vulnerable and tender, we're not sharing a thing if somebody comes at us with judgment. That's why the first piece is befriending from love. The second piece is unburdening the parts of us that carry the pain. Because notice the cutting part of Roxanne, obviously the memory was not there. It's not like Dick said, okay, let's talk about your super traumatic past. He didn't do that, right? It was like the memory was still there, still alive in her. It came up in a session and then they talked about it. So this work isn't about let's go just digging through all your life and let's find the most difficult pieces and let's try to, it's like, no. Memories are alive and well with us, right? The ones that still, and some have died off, but the ones are here. That means there's a part of us that's still living in the past, but it needs to be healed. So this is where my clients say again, okay, you're starting to talk super weird again, but I'm So this is what Dick calls an imaginary do-over. The second phase is unburdening. And the way you do it is you do not relive the traumatic experience. You do not tell the story again, bring up all the pain again for the sake of telling a story. You don't do that. But what you do is you go back into the past because the part's in the past. It's still there. So you, as the self, you go back into the past because many people have the image in their mind too. You go back with yourself, and this is recommended you do with a practitioner. You don't do this part alone, which is why I was only going to talk about the first part, but you've asked, so I'm going to share. You go in with yourself into the scene, and you are there the way the part needed help at the time. Okay, so if it's we get out of that bedroom, we're out. If it's like we slam the door in somebody's face, we slam the door, right? I had a client who, she was a binge eater, and like her memory was of her mom being in the hospital and her dad like having no idea how to feed a kid and giving her a bowl of cereal with milk, and there was worms in it. And he was such a hostile dad, she ate it. So we went back in, we didn't dig up the memory. She told it to me. We didn't just relive the memory and all the pain. She went back in with her self energy and she was there in the moment, and we did that again. Okay, the cereal was thrown in the garbage. She's not eating the worms. Okay, she got herself a bowl of healthy food that she really wanted to eat. She took her to the living room with a blanket and a teddy bear, and she watched TV, and the whole time she was not alone. So do you see how the experience is redone in a corrective and healing way?
Yes.
Right? So then that way, the part that's still living in the past can kind of let go of this memory, because finally someone's come and witnessed it, and not just witnessed it, right? Because to just re-witness it can be so traumatic all over again, but helped it be experienced in the way the part needed help at the time. So now it's a healing experience. And let me just step back for a second. So for anyone who's going like, this is so woo, like I'm just ready to hang up, think about the power of the imagination. We talk about it all the time. There isn't a single professional athlete on this planet that does not practice in their imagination before they go in the pool, on the court, on the field, what have you, because there are decades of research behind the power of the imagination, the power of mental rehearsal. It literally changes the brain. So we all know about neuroplasticity. I mean, the one way that's commonly talked about is, here's a thought. You keep thinking this thought, you're going to feel this feeling, you're going to take these actions and create this result. The result usually makes the thought easier to believe, proves the thought, round and round we go. So we have a thought loop, a freeway through our brain governed by this thought.
Yeah.
And the way we kind of get it to like kind of grow over is we create a new thought over here, which is going to create a new feeling, lead us to new actions, create a new result. That result will make it easier to believe this thought because it proves it true. This is the loop we want running. So we practice, practice, practice until now we have a new freeway, and this becomes a bush. Right, totally run over.
Honestly, you just literally said in a little bit different verbiage what one of our speakers on day one has said, and it's been a continual thing, which is get off of this super freeway, make a dirt path this way until eventually it's no longer a dirt path, it's a new highway, and we're traveling over this way. So yes, I hear that.
We all went to the same school.
Yeah.
I know Natalie very well. Okay, not very well, but I know Natalie. We belong to the same school. Okay, so, and it works. Like, it's a very compelling, there's lots of research behind it. It works. Another way, what Dick is proposing is, yes, you can create a new freeway here and let this grow over into a bush, or you can take this freeway and heal it. If you heal it, it doesn't need to keep firing, right? And it resolves on its own without the need to create a new freeway. One is not better than the other. There are two options. And that's why I said earlier in our conversation, the most important thing for me is, if this doesn't resonate for people, totally drop it. Because that, even just that, you know what, Martha's full of shit, I'm not listening to any more of that. Even that is coming from an internal sense of clarity, confidence, and courage. Like, I'm out. Like, that's what I want to foster. And in my membership, it's the first thing I say. If I say anything that doesn't jive with you, just toss it. Because I want you to keep practicing. This isn't for me, right? I'm going to let this go. I'm somewhat curious about this. I'm going to see how it lands with me for a little bit longer. Like, practicing that internal sense of authority and leadership helps us stay more and more in this place of self-energy.
Well, this one's hit me. This one's hit me different today. It's 11:50, and I want to give Martha time to have a coffee break and a water break before we go VIP backstage. Martha, thank you so very much for being on. I couldn't even begin to address all of the questions that are coming through. But Martha, where can they find you if they'd like to know more about you and your work?
They can go to holdingthespace.co. That's where you can find me.
Okay, it's on our graphic, right? The graphic is pulled up right now. Please go look her up if you want to know more about her or how to be a part of her membership or how to be taught by her. Martha, thank you so much. You've got a break now, girl. Go take a little break.
Hey, Melissa.
Yes.
Yeah, 1 second. Martha also has a gift for everybody. I'll drop the link. But Martha, would you like to just touch on that for a moment? You may not. It may be very self-explanatory. But.
Sure. It's a guide I created for the group because I knew that this would probably be very, very new. So it's like an 8-page guide, and it's a worksheet, and it just takes you through the experience of trying this. Would you be willing to get to know the part of you that overeats? What would this journey be like, right? How can you foster this relationship between you and this part of you from a place of genuine curiosity and see what happens? So that's what this is. There's no jargon in here. It's all about an experiential process. And if it's not resonant, it's totally fine.
Okay. Martha, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm hoping to God that I'll let any VIP ask you any question that's not me. I hope I don't dominate the conversation with all my questions. We'll see you in a few minutes, Martha. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say that one made me really emotional today, and I think it did too because there's a bit of embarrassment there. I want to have it all together for y'all, but I don't, and you know that going in, and you're like, this is our Cortez. This is the one who's leading our expedition, and I know that must be scary for some of y'all. And so I feel very vulnerable about that. But I wanted to say, I've never made any bones about the fact that I am a believer. And so I'd always come at things from a spiritual bend. Martha laughed a minute ago and she said, some of you are going to think this is so woo. I'm not scared of that kind of stuff. Like, I know how I believe in my heart. And so I think that there's a lot of stuff that Martha is giving us. I would say all of it really, that really goes to how we are created and how God can protect, how he protects us from traumatic experiences that happen, but he still encircles us and encloses us. All that to say, there was a book that came out years ago called The Shack, and I hated it. I hated that book. I could not stand it. And it was like super, super popular. You can get it on Amazon if you want to, but I hated the book. I'm not going to recommend the book to you. I didn't like the way that it was written. And I mean, everybody I knew, it's this book about the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And it's a story of a man whose daughter is abducted and how he goes to God and he's angry. And anyway, people would say, how can you not like that book? Is something wrong with you? I just didn't like it. I just didn't like it at all. Well, a few years later, they made it into a movie starring Octavia Spencer as God and the lead actor in it. You would know him, but I can't think of his name right now. I don't know what possessed me to go watch that stupid movie, even though I hated the book. I cried from the moment that it came on to the moment that it went off. Because it was about a traumatic experience in his life, about his daughter being abducted on a family vacation. And there was nothing that he could do about it. And the way that God walked him, which was Octavia Spencer, walked him through these moments and said, I need you to relive these, but I want you to know that I'm here with you. There's nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to be scared. And there's one particular scene in the movie where he wakes up and it's a man at his door, wakes up, and the guy opens the door and he says, you awake? You ready to go? We got a lot of work to do. And he said, well, who are you? He says, well, who are you? Where's God? And he goes, I'm God. And he says, thank you, but God's been a woman for I've been talking to a woman for the last 7 days. And he said, I know, but today you need something different. Today you need a different presence with you. I know that sounds weird, but go watch it. I cried for an hour and 47 minutes. And that's how I felt today. That there are all of these little inside out characters. And one of the characters that I didn't put in the movie is chunky little Melissa. Is this little binge eater and nobody wants to hang out with her? They're all sick to death of how she sabotages them. But I know there's a protective there of her. I just kind of have to figure that out. So anyway, it was not Tim McGraw in the movie. It wasn't Tim McGraw. Much nicer looking guy than Tim McGraw. It wasn't Tim McGraw, but go check that out. It was really beautiful. So I don't know what Martha was talking today really reminded me of that movie, and that movie meant a lot to me. I hated the book. Don't spend your money, but go watch the movie for sure. So all that to say, burn your boats. What are we talking about, David? Help me, because I'm an emotional basket case right now. Take over, babe, or ask me questions. You can ask me questions, but I'm in here crying.
No, I'm great. I don't even know what to say. That was a bonus. That was absolutely a bonus. I think the people this morning that were on live and the people that are going to rewatch this are the exact people that needed to be on and need to rewatch it. This, yeah, I don't know. I hate to dive into all the prizes and all that kind of stuff, because that was just kind of powerful and kind of sacred. Let us know in the chat, what did that do? I guess we've used the rating before, so how would you rate that from 1 to 10? I don't know how you put a number to that. That was extremely powerful. Hang on a sec. I'm sorry.
You've never asked me what I've rated anything. You always ask them, but you never come back to me and say, hey, Melissa, how would you rate it?
Okay, Melissa, how would you rate that?
I would rate it a 15, but I would rate me a -2. I think I've been killing it this week. And today I'm emotional. I'm an emotional wreck. And we've
got our first 1 million. We've not been that. We've got Mind Blown. We've got 101 in Infinity. You can't rate this. We have so many people saying it resonated with me. I love how, Melissa, you may or may not have noticed this. Every day, someone will say, oh, now that speaker resonated with me, or that concept. I love how each and every one of these guests and speakers and authors, experts, they were hand selected for that reason. And that is a lot about Burn Your Boats, where, and Melissa talked about this at the beginning, we're all coming from different places, and each one of us, even at different times, can be hit differently by different things. So,
well, I think that what really set me off was the story of Roxanne, and that story about how he told her, you're not going to cut yourself. You are not going to cut yourself. If you replace cut yourself with, you are not going to overeat. You are not going to binge eat. You are not going to shame yourself. You're not going to hate yourself at night and cry yourself to sleep. If you replace the cutting with eating, I think we have so many Roxannes in this group. And I feel for those Roxannes. I feel for those Jackie Fredericks and those Zoes and Leslies and Mara Lyons. I feel for those, and Melissa Radke's. Like, I mean, those are us. We can't shame us anymore. Here's what I wrote down that she said. Shame doesn't work. It just doesn't work. But there are parts of you that the protection and the love of God, your self-protection, whatever it is you're looking for, can walk with you through these things and protect you in a way as you continue to move forward. Thank y'all for those of you who are saying to me, Melissa, the fact that you're crying is the reason that we're even joining. Like, it's the reason we're even paying this membership, because you're the most human person. Thank you, because I feel very imperfect, but I think we can do this together. I would like to say our heart work for this weekend, and I didn't get to say it. And it's this. Why don't you just make something else the most important thing? Why don't you make the beautiful weather the most important thing? Why don't you make what you get to do tonight with your family the most important thing? Why don't you make that Netflix show you've been dying to binge the most important thing? Don't let it be shame. Don't even let it be food. If you want to enjoy a piece of cake, enjoy a piece of cake. If you're like, but I've really been wanting to finish Bridgerton and eat Java chip ice cream, then just do that. Just enjoy your weekend without knowing that at the end of it, there will be a shame cycle that will get you nowhere. Just throw up your hands, take in a deep breath, and just enjoy your weekend, because you're worth that. You're worth that. Have a great weekend. I love you. I can't say another word. David, talk.
Guys, thank you so much. This bonus day was just that. It was a bonus. It would have been a bonus any day this last week even. It was really, really powerful. I loved what just even that phrase of self-regard. I know she kind of started there and started to unpack that, but that was just so incredible. I did see a couple of questions about all of the live trainings as far as being in the face group. All of the live trainings are in the guide section. This one actually is even currently already in the guide section. So in the 5-day Inside Out Challenge, how amazing. It's the 5-day Inside Out Challenge. We didn't talk about this. We didn't plan it. And then the Inside Out movie got brought up today like this today. I think that's pretty cool too. But all the live trainings, all the aha moments, the heart work, the speaker information, all that stuff is in the guide section of the Facebook group. So if you're on that Facebook group page, go toward the top and click on that guide section, and you'll see all that. You'll see all that information. That will be up at least till the early or maybe even middle part of next week. So we want you to have time to be able to go back and rewatch those and those kind of things. A reminder, those of you that took advantage of the VIP, you're going to get those recordings. We'll actually put those recordings. It'll be inside Melissa's app. We'll actually put those kind of in an area that you'll have access to those from now on. So, yeah, Melissa mentioned the Burn Your Boats. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to continue to do this. Melissa's going to be, sharing through exclusive stretch mark articles and podcasts and having amazing guests like Martha in the monthly video series. We're just on this journey together. And again, there's no one right way. Okay. There's no one right way for any of us. So we're going to be exploring these things and seeing these things and even, being able to break off into some smaller groups that are really focused on maybe particular things. So the community aspect is going to exceed anything else. And we're so excited that it's going to be inside Melissa's brand new app. It's on the Apple Store, the Google Store, Android Store. You can go see that, but you have to have an invitation, which is how we're doing this now, because between now and Monday night at midnight, we're opening the Burn Your Boats community to the founding members. We want you to be a part of that. We have tried to both price it in a way you can do monthly or annually. We're trying to bring you bonuses. We've had speakers bring you bonuses as well, that it makes it very difficult for you not to be a part of it. So we hope that you can be a part of it. We will we'll just be extremely excited if you're able to do that with us. I do want to say that, give me 1 second. I'm so sorry. I had a person that won a $50 gift card, and I forgot to write the name down, but I have it right here. So, I will post that